China has announced new restrictions on gaming for young people in an effort to curb addiction concerns. So let's talk about what those are and what that means for the future of gaming. What's up everyone, Cam here, and today I'm coming at you from Chiang Mai, Thailand. So yesterday China announced these new restrictions. There's a gaming curfew, which means that if you're under the age of 18, you're no longer allowed to game after 10 p.m. or before 8 a.m. You're also limited to the amount of time you can game, which is 1.5 hours per day or 3 hours on holidays. You also have a spending limit, and that varies depending on your age, but it's between $28 a month and $57 a month US. And you'll also be required to register your real name and your identification in order to access games. And beyond that, there will be enforced age ratings within games. Now, it's that last point that obviously will trigger a lot of concerns for privacy advocates. And I guess I'm not here today to necessarily speak about whether or not China should be doing this. That is something that has a lot to do with different cultures and the way that regulation comes into play. However, I am here to just share a bit about what these are and what the future might hold around the world. The fact that China is doing this is really interesting because China has the second largest gaming market in the world, but there have been a lot of addiction concerns, and gaming tends to be blamed for poor academic performance and a rise in nearsightedness. Some will question if regulations like this will even work, and won't gamers just find loopholes and ways around it? And although typically that would be the case where, let's say, a gamer would be able to use, say, a parent's identification card to be able to play as much as they want, Tencent last year, which is the largest gaming company in the world, actually announced that they will now use facial recognition to verify gamers who are playing their games. And their statement when these new regulations came out yesterday was also pretty interesting. A spokesperson for Tencent said, "The guidelines are an important and proactive signal to the entire industry and will provide clear guidance for our work in the future." Now, I find this fascinating because in the US and specifically around the world, the gaming industry is fighting back against this question of addiction, and they're fighting back very strongly against any sort of regulations. Even in a place like South Korea, where the gaming industry is extremely powerful, there's now a major split in the government where half the people are trying to support people who are struggling with addiction and trying to curb this rise and this trend, and the other half, who are owned by the gaming industry, are fighting back and making arguments like identifying gaming addiction would be a bad economic decision. I think this statement by Tencent just goes to show how powerful the government is in China and the hold that they have on the industry. And I think that if we look at some of the issues recently around Blizzard and Hong Kong, I guess that shouldn't come as a big surprise. Over the last year, there's been a lot more concern from government regulators around the world about gaming addiction and about the gaming industry, especially when it comes to loot boxes and microtransactions and gambling-like mechanics. There was a great inquiry in the UK, and you can check the report for that in the comments below. There was even an FTC investigation in the US, and more it appears that the gaming industry is at a crossroads where there are a lot of regulations that could be coming into play in order to curb some of these concerns. But I do think it's really important for us to begin to think about how are we going to address this issue of video game addiction, and who are the stakeholders who have a role to play. Yes, gamers have a role to play, parents do as well, and so does the gaming industry and the government, in order to be able to make sure the gaming industry is doing their due diligence. They are fulfilling their social responsibility, they are fulfilling their duty of care. Ultimately, I think whether it's in China or it's in any other country around the world, the gaming industry has had a very poor response to this issue, and I'm not fairly optimistic that they will decide to do the right thing and start addressing this issue. But if they don't, then I think examples like what's happening in China right now will continue, and the gaming industry will really only have itself to blame. So I throw it back to you. What do you think the gaming industry should be doing to curb addiction? Do you think that approaches like what China is doing with gaming curfews and limits on the amount of time you can play and the limit on the amount of money you can spend is a way to combat this issue, or do you have other ideas? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. When Prince Harry came out and announced that he wanted to ban Fortnite, I shared a lot more thoughts on what I thought the gaming industry should be doing and a lot more ideas on how we should combat this, so you can check that video out if you want some more of my ideas. But I want to hear your ideas. How do you think we should respond to this issue? So I hope that in the very least this video has got you thinking a little bit about what the role is of the gaming industry and how can we actually address this issue of video game addiction beyond just blaming people like addicts or gamers who find themselves in this difficult position, or blaming parents who find themselves in this difficult position. What role does the industry and the government have to play in this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. We have a lot more videos like this coming soon. My name is Cam. I appreciate you taking the time today to watch this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Alright, peace.